Welcome, dear listeners. Today, we embark on a journey into the heart of the unknown, a tale of mystery, survival, and deception set on a seemingly abandoned island in the Pacific. Imagine flying high above the ocean, glancing down, and spotting a giant help etched into the earth below. What would you do? For one seasoned pilot, this unexpected sight marked the beginning of an adventure that would unravel secrets darker than the dense forest covering the island. Stay with me as we descend into a story where every shadow hides a truth and every discovery sparks new questions.
Cruising above a small
charted abandoned island in the Pacific, seasoned pilot Dwight's routine flight takes an unexpected turn when he spots a mysterious message below. As he glides across the island, his eyes widen in disbelief when he sees a giant help spelled out on the island. From the sky, Dwight decides to descend, unaware that what awaits on the island will have him urgently reaching for his radio to dial 911. But before we start, smash the like button, make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. He had flown over this same island many times before, but he had never seen anything change on it until that day. There had been absolutely no sign of human life on the island, and everyone knew that it was uninhabited. It was also said to be a very dangerous place, but nobody knew for sure whether this was true or a myth. Dwight decided to try to forget about all the scary stories he had previously heard about this island and find a place to land on it instead. If there was really someone stuck there, he needed to help them.
Humans must have
He looked at the giant help sign again, and there was no doubt about it. Humans must have made it. There was no other explanation. He immediately felt his fear melt away and make room for excitement. He was, in fact, going on an adventure. The largest part of the island was covered with a dense forest and mountains, but Dwight spotted a small beach where he thought he might be able to land safely.
He waited until he got close enough to be 100% sure that he could make a safe landing. And once he had confirmed that it was possible, he decided to just go for it. He took deep and steady breaths as he lowered his helicopter.
Once he had confirmed that it was possible, he decided to just go for it. He took deep and steady breaths as he lowered his helicopter, trying not to think about all the horrible ways in which this could go wrong. He let out a sigh of relief when he finally felt the bump,
looked around, taking in his new surroundings.
I did it, he exclaimed, finally looking around and taking in his new surroundings. Dwight quickly shut down the helicopter and jumped out of it, curious about what he would encounter on this island. Hello? Is there anybody here? He asked tentatively. Dwight looked around attentively, trying to decide which direction to go in first. The beach was completely empty, and there was absolutely no sign that anyone else had ever been there, except for one thing. He found a knife, and it was covered in blood. It just lay there in the sand. He immediately grabbed his phone to call 911, but of course he had no signal. He doubted what he should do, and everything inside him screamed, "Get off of this island!" But he knew he couldn't do that. He knew that he needed to help whoever was stuck there. He was scared, yes, but he asked himself, what if it was me that was stuck here, or someone I love? He took a deep breath and made his decision. Dwight picked up the knife, wiped it clean, and stepped into the forest. He kept his eyes open and scanned the thick underbrush and towering trees that seemed to absorb his every sound. The thick forest was dark and the air was damp. It was a huge contrast to his surroundings less than a minute ago. As he moved closer, he could see it was a piece of fabric torn and fluttering gently in the slight breeze. His heart quickened as he realized that someone else had made their way through here, and not too long ago. The campsite, when he found it, was a small clearing barely visible beneath the overgrowth. The remains of a fire pit were at the center, cold and abandoned, with a few charred sticks and a pile of ash. What had driven them to this remote place? And more importantly, what had made them leave so suddenly? Were they connected to the sign?
caught
In the midst of the
sight
chaotic
a journal.
campsite,
Its cover
Dwight's eyes
tattered
caught
and
sight of a
pages
journal,
frayed.
its
As he
cover
leafed through it,
tattered
the
and
entries
pages
written
frayed.
in a hurried scrawl
As he leafed
spoke
through
of
it, the
fear
entries
and
written in a
urgency.
hurried scrawl
While examining
spoke
the
of
journal,
fear
a
and
sharp
urgency.
crack from the forest
While
pierced
examining
the
the journal,
silence,
a
snapping
sharp
Dwight's
crack from the
attention
forest
towards the dense
pierced the
trees.
silence,
This poignant
snapping
message
Dwight's
resonated
attention
with
toward the
Dwight,
dense
fueling his
trees.
resolve to
This
find the
poignant
author.
message
His belief of
resonated with
salvation
Dwight,
echoed in his mind.
fueling his
Intertwining
resolve
with his own
to find the
determination to
author
unravel
whose
this island
plea
mystery.
for salvation
Methodically, Dwight
echoed in
returned
his
to the
mind,
campsite, gathering every piece
intertwining
of
with his
evidence he could
own
find.
determination
The forest
to
fires seemed
unravel
to weigh
this
heavily
island
around,
mystery.
amplifying the faintest
Methodically,
sounds.
Dwight returned
A
to the
distant
campsite,
bird called.
gathering
The
every
rustle
piece of
leaves
evidence he could
underfoot.
find. The
Moving
forest
cautiously,
hush
Dwight
seemed to
couldn't
weigh
shake the
heavily
feeling
around
that
him,
eyes were
amplifying
watching
the
him from the
faintest sounds,
hidden
a
observers in
distant
this
bird
vast
call,
green
the
labyrinth.
rustle of leaves
In the
underfoot.
corner of his
Moving
eye,
cautiously,
Dwight
Dwight couldn't shake the
caught a
feeling that
glimpse of
eyes were
something
watching him from the shadows, hidden
A
observers
shadow
in this
flickered
vast green
and
labyrinth.
leaving
In the
him
corner of his
questioning
eye,
his own
Dwight
eyes.
caught a
This
glimpse of
fleeting
something
vision
moving,
sharpened his
a
alertness,
shadow that
reinforcing
flickered
the
and
notion
vanished,
that he was not
leaving
alone
him
in this
questioning his own
isolated
eyes.
island,
This
surrounded by an
fleeting vision
unseen
sharpened
presence
his
that watched
alertness,
his every move.
reinforcing the
As he
notion that
continued,
he
a
was
quick
not
movement in
alone
the
on this
distance caught
isolated
Dwight's
isle,
attention.
surrounded
A
by an unseen
elusive
presence
and fleeting,
that watched his every
disappearing
move.
as quickly as
As
it
he
appeared.
continued, a
This
quick
sight
movement in the
sparked a
distance
complex
caught
blend
Dwight's
of hope and
attention.
fear
A
within him,
figure,
igniting a
elusive and
fervent
fleeting,
curiosity to
disappearing as
discover who
quickly as it
or
appeared.
what shared
This sight
secluded
sparked a
environment
complex
with him.
blend of hope
With a
and
newfound
fear within
resolve,
him,
Dwight
igniting a
set off in
fervent
the direction of the
curiosity to
mysterious
discover
figure,
who or
each
what
step
shared this
taking him deeper
secluded
into the
environment
heart
with
of the
him.
island.
With
In a
newfound
small
resolve,
clearing,
Dwight set
stumbled
off in the
upon
direction of the
unsettling evidence of
mysterious
a struggle.
figure,
A
each
makeshift
step
spear
taking
lay
him
abandoned,
deeper into the
its
heart
point
of the
sharpened
island.
crudely.
In a
The
small
presence of
clearing,
this primitive
Dwight
weapon
stumbled
hinted at a
upon
violent
unsettling
encounter,
evidence of a struggle.
suggesting a tale of
A
survival
makeshift spear
and
lay
conflict
abandoned,
hidden within the
its point
island's
sharpened
silent
crudely.
embrace.
The
Amidst
presence
the
of this
undergrowth,
primitive
Dwight's
weapon
gaze fell
hinted
upon
at
a
a
small,
violent
empty
encounter,
child's shoe,
suggesting a
its
tale of
innocence
survival
darkly out
and
of place
conflict
in this
hidden
wild
within
setting.
the island's
With the
silent
evening sky
embrace.
turning a deep orange,
Amidst
Dwight
the
became
undergrowth,
acutely aware
Dwight's
of the
gaze
impending
fell upon a
nightfall.
small,
As the
empty
sun dipped
child's
below the
shoe,
horizon,
its innocence
fading
starkly
light
out of
cast
place
long,
in this
ominous
wild
shadows
setting.
across the island.
With the evening sky
Dwight's
turning a
path
deep
back
orange,
became increasingly
Dwight became
perilous.
acutely aware
Approaching
of the
darkness
impending
transforming
nightfall.
familiar
As the
landscapes
sun
into
dipped
a
below the
maze of
horizon,
uncertainty,
its
where
fading
every
light
step
cast
was
long,
fraught with
ominous
unseen
shadows across
dangers.
the island.
Finally
Dwight's
reaching
path
the beach,
back became
Dwight was
increasingly
struck by the
perilous,
profound
the encroaching
isolation
darkness
of his
transforming
surroundings.
familiar
Under the
landscapes
starlit
into
sky,
a maze of
Dwight settled in
uncertainty,
for the night,
where every
his
step
mind
was
teeming
fraught with
plans for
unseen
the next
dangers.
day. As
Finally
the first
reaching the
rays of
beach,
sunlight
Dwight was
pierced
struck by the
morning sky,
profound
Dwight was
isolation of
greeted
his
by an
surroundings.
unexpected sight.
Under the
A
starlit
disheveled,
sky,
injured man
Dwight settled
stumbling
in
out
for
of
the
the
night,
forest.
his
His
mind
appearance
teeming with
raised a
plans
myriad
for the
of
next
new
day.
questions,
As
adding
the
another
first
layer of
rays of
complexity to the
sunlight
enigma
pierced
of
the
the
morning
island,
sky,
and fueling
Dwight was
Dwight's
greeted by an
determination to
unexpected
uncover its
sight,
secrets.
a
The man's
disheveled,
voice
injured
trembled
man
as he
stumbling
recounted
out of
his
the
tale
forest.
betrayal
His
and warned
appearance
of a
raised a
hidden danger
myriad of
lurking
new
on the
questions,
island.
adding
His
another layer
words
of complexity
were
to the
a
enigma of the
tangled
island
web
and
of
fueling
fear
Dwight's
and
determination
despair,
to uncover its
leaving
secrets.
Dwight
The
with
man's
more
voice
questions
trembled
than
as he
answers,
recounted
and
his
casting
tale
a
of
shadow of
betrayal
doubt over
and
the
warned of a
already
hidden
murky
danger lurking
circumstances
on
of
the island.
island's past.
His words were a
Dwight
tangled
listened
web
with
of
rapt
fear and
attention as the
despair,
man
leaving
detailed
Dwight with
his
more
harrowing
questions
ordeal
than
of being
answers
abandoned
and casting a
and left
shadow
for
of
dead.
doubt over the already
Comparing
murky
the man's harrowing
circumstances of the
story
island's
with the frantic
past.
entries in the
Dwight
found
listened
journal,
with rapt
Dwight
attention
noticed
as the
glaring
man detailed his
inconsistencies.
harrowing
The
ordeal
two
of
accounts,
being
each one
abandoned
fear and
and left
urgency,
for
seemed to
dead.
tell different
Comparing
sides
the
of the same
man's harrowing
mysterious tale,
story with the
leaving
frantic
Dwight to
entries
sift
in
through
the found journal,
contradictions in search of the
Dwight
hidden
noticed
truth.
glaring
In an attempt to bridge the
inconsistencies.
gaps in
The two
understanding,
accounts,
Dwight shared his
each
findings
fraught with fear
of
and
the
urgency,
campsite and the
seemed to
journal
tell
with the man.
different sides of the same
man's
mysterious
reactions to
tale,
Dwight's
leaving
discoveries
Dwight
were a
to
mix
sift
of
through the
surprise,
contradictions
fear, and,
in
at
search
times,
of the hidden
an
truth.
inexplicable familiarity.
In an attempt to bridge the
As
gaps
the
and
man's
understanding,
narrative unfolded.
Dwight shared his
Dwight's
findings from the
skepticism
campsite and the
only
journal with the
deepened.
man.
The
The man's reactions to Dwight's discoveries were a mix of surprise, fear, and at times an inexplicable familiarity. As the man's narrative unfolded, Dwight's skepticism only deepened. The stories he heard failed to align with the tangible evidence he had gathered. Intrigued by the man's mention of a cursed area on the island, Dwight's curiosity was piqued. albeit tempered by a healthy dose of caution. This purportedly cursed place, wrapped in superstitions and fear, beckoned him with the promise of answers, yet whispered warnings of the dangers that might lie within. As Dwight ventured deeper, the area seemed to pulsate with an eerie life of its own. Wandering through a particularly overgrown area, Dwight stumbled upon a concealed part of the island. In this secluded area, Dwight's eyes fell upon the startling evidence of a large-scale abandoned drug lab. The discovery of equipment and remnants of illegal substances revealed the island's involvement in covert drug trading. This revelation cast the island in a new, sinister light, drastically altering Dwight's understanding of the help sign's origins and the true nature of his predicament. Realizing his isolation and the impossibility of communication, Dwight devised a desperate plan. He remembered the emergency flares in his helicopter's survival kit. Determined to signal for rescue, he prepared to make his way to the island's highest point, where he could send a distress signal to the outside world. With determination, Dwight launched the bright flares into the dusky sky from the island's summit. He watched them ascend, praying they would catch the eye of a passing ship or plane and lead to his long-awaited rescue. In a twist of events, Dwight uncovered the injured man's true identity. He was intricately linked to the drug ring that had operated on the island. This revelation upended Dwight's understanding of the man's stories, casting them in a new, deceitful light and reshaping his perception of their encounter. Confronted with the truth, Dwight realized the full extent of the man's deception and the danger it represented. The man's tales of survival and abandonment were a mask, hiding his true affiliation with the criminal activities on the island and placing Dwight in unforeseen peril. Now aware of the man's true intentions, Dwight felt the urgency to prepare for the arrival of the authorities. He strategized his next moves carefully, knowing that every second mattered in ensuring the man was apprehended and the island's illicit secrets were exposed to the law. As darkness enveloped the island, distant lights appeared on the horizon, a sign of approaching help. Dwight's heart swelled with relief at the sight, a beacon of hope in the night, signaling the end of his ordeal and the beginning of the island's reckoning. As law enforcement swarmed the island, Dwight watched from his helicopter. Rising into the night sky, he reflected on his unexpected journey, the resilience of the human spirit in the face of corruption and deceit, and his role in unraveling the island's dark secrets. The experience left a lasting impression on him, a testament to the enduring quest for truth and justice.